What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 185 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo and NetRush. And today, this episode is dedicated to all you side hustle people out there. If you're like Chris and myself and you just love a good old side hustle, this is going to be for you. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about how to sell books and online arbitrage items on Amazon. And we've got John Muscarello joining us from up there in Pennsylvania. John, what's happening?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
We're excited. We are, if you're just listening to the audio and you're not watching this live stream, John is clearly in his warehouse. And before we went live, he was shipping out stuff. And Chris and I were talking about, we should just put a little webcam up there and watch this. This is fun.
Why not?
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we love side hustles. Chris and I dabble in everything basically that we hear of, just to
too much.
Yeah, too much. Yeah. It's like we're like full-time side hustlers. But this is gonna be a lot of fun. So John, before we jump into everything, we'd love to sort of hear your story. Like what got you interested in it? How'd you get started? How did it scale? What were you doing before? You got the floor for a little while. Let's hear a little bit of your background.
Cool deal. So I'll try to keep it on the shorter side. So basically, I saw a Gary Vee video. He was flipping stuff at garage sales. I was like, this guy's a millionaire. He doesn't need to be doing this. Like, there's something here. I always kind of had the inkling to do it. I'm like, oh, like there's definitely stuff you could buy and then like double the price or whatever. And I was just like thinking. I don't know why I even came up with it, but I decided to do like furniture. So I was on like one of the offer ups or something like that. And I bought a set of chairs for like $10 and not proud of it, but kind of they had them for $40. I was like, oh, me and my girlfriend just got this place. Like, can you do like kind of like that? That was before like I was confident. We're like, no, I'm paying you this kind of thing. And they're like, yeah, you can have them for $10 or whatever. I listed them on Craigslist. This was kind of pre-Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace was like almost invite only at this point. And someone bought them for $40, like literally a day later. I was like, interesting. So then I spent like another, I don't know, maybe 40, 60 bucks, bought like an end table, bought a lamp. And the key was just to double the money. So I was like, okay, great. This is working. And then I'm like, I'm in. So I keep going through. And then I kind of had this like weird experience where I just got an apartment and I bought this huge table. I don't know why. I was a single guy. Like, why do I need this huge table? But it looked nice or whatever. And I think I paid $100 for it. Or maybe it was 80. And basically I was doing the furniture. So I needed more space. So I was like, you know what? Like someone will give me $250 for this table. Like they could have it. Literally 2 hours later, someone's like, I'll give you. And that just changed everything. So like the money almost tripled now. So I was like, interesting. Like it doesn't just have to double. Like it could triple, it could quadruple. So then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole. And then eventually I was doing Facebook Marketplace, all the apps. And then I'm originally from New York. I went home for like Christmas or whatever. And then I can't sell anything. I was like, like didn't really think about this. Like, this is kind of annoying. So then I kind of started looking at YouTube videos of, you know, how to like almost a different business. Like I've had successful blogs and I've dabbled a little bit in coaching, but I just didn't really like it. I wanted something different. And I came across Reezy Resell's video and he was selling books. So I was like, all right, like I made all this money, like let's give it a shot. And I tried to really go with like, trust the process, like just go through it. Like it's going to stink at first, but like eventually you'll get through the other end. Just kind of follow what they're doing. So I bought like 5 or 6 books when I just like got an app. And I was like, there's no way like these books are going to sell. Like the one book I picked up, the first book I sold, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was saying it was selling for like $40. And the price on the back of the book was like $20. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this isn't going to work. So, like, sure enough, I send it in. It takes me, like, 2 hours to figure out how to list, like, 6 books. I probably paid, like, $8 to ship them there. So, not very profitable. But the book sold 2 days later. And then I was like, I'm all in. So basically, I pretty much went all in, and I guess I am now full time. I've been full time for 2 or 3 years now. Um, but the real, I guess, switch flip for me, how this even all started, was really when I started a new job when I moved here, and I remember they're just like, "Oh, we'll give you a performance bonus. Like if you do good in the first 3 months or whatever, like you're gonna get X." So of course I did that, got the bonus. And then at the end of the year, when they like did the salary review for like another bonus, they're just like, "We already gave you a bonus." I was like, "Wait a second, like no, like that's not what we agreed upon." And it just made it very real for me that like for me it wouldn't work for someone else to control the money, like unless I was in like sale or something like that. Even though there's control, so I was like, I got to figure something out, and that's kind of how the furniture and then Amazon came to be. And then eventually we added in eBay, and we're also doing online arbitrage as well now.
I love a good flip.
I know.
Isn't it fun? Like
Oh,
yeah, I think it's like ingrained in you. Like I will sell anything, if like buy anything. It's a good time. I don't know what it is about it.
that was probably the funnest part about the furniture. It was all cash. Like I literally bought a safe, and there was probably at one time like 10 to 15 grand in there, just because like I was just starting it. Like I didn't really know what to do with it. But yeah, it was so nice.
How do you get in all this like okay, furniture is big items? You know,
Yeah.
like I was selling, and Dustin did some. I was selling like T-shirts on eBay. You know, go to thrift stores, buy some T-shirts. Those are light, but furniture, you got to have like a crew to help you get it.
It was crazy. So I just had a Jeep, really,
Oh
and I
my
had
God.
it like down. Like I had all the Facebook messages. Like I would just go on. I'd go on at lunch, like probably like when I wasn't supposed to be on at work, and just kind of like just hunt down these deals. And like I just knew, like basically the script, if you ever want something, is like, oh, like is it still available? They say yes, and then you're like, I'll give you, I don't know, if it's 150, be like, I'll give you $100 cash today. I'll meet you in 2 hours, and then you got to make good on that. But if you don't, like it's gonna fall through, and that's just kind of how it goes. So I also had it like the other way where it's just like, okay, like this is super easy. Like if I just keep doing these, sending these messages, and then it would be like, if I got the deal, I'd be like, oh, did the table legs come off? They're like, yeah, if you could unscrew them, that would be great. And then it would just like easy load up, because what would happen, I would go there. I'm like, oh, like, can you take it was just a mess. So I'm like, if you take the legs off, like, we'll just go. And it just became like almost like a system. And yeah, like furniture is big, and that's kind of became part of the holdup, just like space and flipping it. But a lot of the stuff flipped within like 2 or 3 days, which was nice.
Yeah, quick cash. Do you still go to garage sales?
I haven't been to one in a while. I do. I like to do like a lot of auctions back in the day, just because it was just insane to me. Like you get like, and I was starting to do books. You just get like boxes and boxes of stuff for like $1, $5, and it's just like some of the stuff. Like it only takes like one item to like really make that worth it.
Are you doing like estate sales, or are these like storage units?
They're estate sales. So yeah, it was just really cool to like see how that worked. And yeah, I would say everything with reselling, like it's just, you just start to notice habits and patterns. And like all the auctions I went to, like you got the best buys later on because people are losing interest. They want to get out of there. Like the people are doing the auction, they want to get out of there. So it's like $1, and it's just like keeps going. So yeah, it's always fun.
So when you were starting with furniture, you were flipping it on Marketplace?
Yeah, so that was the most annoying part. It was like a spreadsheet, and then it would go on like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, and Let's Go. I think Let Go was bought by OfferUp. I don't know, either OfferUp or Let Go was bought. One bought each other out. Yeah, so like all the cross listing, and that probably took the most time. But yeah, it was pretty much those 4 marketplaces, and Facebook was just the best one. Like you could always get the most money on there. Now it's like getting like somewhat saturated. But I mean, there's still a lot to be made.
There's some really good channels out there on YouTube. I know who Reezy Resells is. I've seen his channel there, but there's a lot of other guys that do this just full time, just like you are, where they have a warehouse and they just source all this stuff. And then sometimes they do a warehouse sale, and there's just so much content out there. And you can get started with this with very little capital. Just keep turning and burning.
Yeah, I mean, I started with $10 pretty much. And now, yeah, it's a pretty big business.
And are you just you by yourself, single?
Yeah,
show?
it's just me. I do have like 2 helpers who help out, do some stuff. But right now, we went from books. We're still doing books, but we're also transitioning into online arbitrage. When like the restock limits hit and everything, it really hit booksellers hard. So I was kind of thinking, like, when you're doing bulk books, you're sending in a lot of books. Like, that's the point. So you're not as selective as you would if you were thrifting. So I was just like, well, like, the writing's on the wall. Like, Amazon doesn't want booksellers. They just kind of ran out of space, and now it's opened up. But after kind of seeing OA, I just almost can't fathom doing the books just based on how much work it is. Yeah, there's a lot more way to monetize the books, and we've done a pretty good job of that. But just the idea of being able to work anywhere. I love the warehouse, but like not necessarily needing one, like maybe do a prep center. Yeah, there's just so much more opportunity there, I think. And then also like personal brand and stuff like that.
Where are you sourcing books from? Where do you, I mean, obviously thrift stores probably do that, church sales maybe, but like, where are you getting books to do it?
So for right now, I'm buying in bulk. So I buy like Gaylords of books. So like, it's kind of like what those are right there.
Oh gosh.
Basically it's like 800 to 1,000 books and like this big box. And I get them from thrift stores and recyclers. So a lot of, if you ever see clothing bins in like a grocery store, there's usually book bins next to them as well. And those recyclers, a lot of times they make so much money on the clothing, they don't care about the books. So you can get books really cheap. It's actually like a hassle for them because they make so much money on the clothes. And that's kind of how my guy started. He had these clothing bins out and people would throw books in them, and like it was really pissing him off. And he's just like, maybe I just put like a book bin and I'll kind of figure this out later. And sure enough, like he figured out that like a lot of people would buy them who are selling on Amazon.
Interesting. And what are you buying those bins for? Are they
it's 6 cents a pound, so 60, 70 bucks, I think.
And you go through each one, and what do you got to do? How's the sorting look like? If you have 100 books, that could take a while.
Yeah, so each one is like 1,000. So basically, I have like a big table over here, and I basically have this machine that like dumps all the books onto the table. And then there's a computer set up right there and a scanner. And basically, just scan through all of them. We have software that tells us like, oh, this buyback company wants to buy this. This is good for Amazon. This is good for Merchant Fulfilled. And then the eBay is all done by eye, which is, there's no other way to do it really. But yeah, it's just kind of knowing like what we sold in the past. If something looks really old, we just put it aside. And then after we go through all that, like it will take like 2 days to go through 12. And then after that, we'll do a day listing for Amazon. Then we'll do a day for eBay research / taking pictures, getting them up. And then Fridays kind of like pack all the stuff up and get ready for the next week.
Yeah, go through that. What's a typical week look like? So you come in on Monday. What happens throughout the week?
So throughout the week, right now, it's been very different. So I've been like kind of experimenting with either doing books every other week to really get in the OA time. OA has been quite a beast for me to learn. It's much different than books, a lot more. I guess it's funny because like when I'm spending like maybe $4,000 a month on books, like you could spend that in a day. And like it's not like there's a lot you could do with that. If you make a bad buy, like you got to eat it. For books, there's like lots of different ways to monetize them. So basically Friday, I get a delivery of books for the next week. I get here maybe like 5:36. I like to get up early. I do OA for about 2 to 3 hours, kind of ship out some eBay stuff. And then I'll go through books, get like 6 done. And then next day, same thing. And pretty much the mornings are pretty much the same, doing OA, shipping out stuff. And then Friday is pretty much like a full out OA day.
When you say get 6 done on the books, that's not 6 individual books. I'm guessing that's 6 Gaylords of books.
Yeah, 6 Gaylords of books.
Yeah, so that's a ton of books.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a ton of books. It doesn't really. It does. We could get through one in about an hour or so. It just really depends how much. Sometimes there's garbage in there. Some don't have barcodes. That really like holds up the process. But if they're like pretty much all scannable, you can get through pretty quickly. And the software is super helpful. You just kind of like toss it wherever it has to go.
So you're deciding, so you scan a book and then you're deciding this is perfect for FBA, FBM, eBay, and it just goes into that bin and then you'll take care of it later. So
yeah,
big profit margin ones, you're putting FBA, I'm assuming. Lower
yeah, for the most part, yes. A lot. We've actually utilized eBay a lot. One of the reasons I like eBay for higher profit books, it really depends on the books. Like textbooks, you can't really beat Amazon. But for like almost like first edition kind of stuff, like you could almost get more money on eBay. And plus you have the flexibility of like taking an offer, which is much more valuable than maybe getting like $2 or $3 more on Amazon.
Are you to the point now where like if you just opened up a Gaylord of books, you can kind of already know what's going to be good and what's not going to be good just based on it?
Yeah, pretty much right now. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. I will get like surprised every once in a while, but for the most part, I know like what a buyback company is going to take, if they took in the past. Some of the eBay stuff, I'm like, oh, this author, like doing research I've seen, like this should be pretty good. And yeah, just kind of go from there.
You ever found like something you're like, oh man, I know this is a good one. Like you just, you know the book's going to be a hit and you rarely see it. Anything like that?
Yeah. So actually it was my biggest eBay sale. There's these books/dictionaries. They're called Black Laws dictionaries. And it's like a legal dictionary or whatever. And I saw it. All Black Laws are pretty much like valuable somewhere. And this happened to be the first one printed, first edition. And it sold for, I think, $2,250.
$2,250?
Yeah, in 30 days.
Oh my gosh.
Where'd that come from?
I'm like, this is definitely going to be money.
Where'd that Gaylord come from?
Recycler. So someone just like dumped it, which is crazy. So this book was from, I think, the 1800s, and like somehow like it was just like not like you would think like something that old would like fall apart in like a big box of books like that, but like it's amazing sometimes how like intact these books are.
So explain a recycler. So if I've got a whole bunch of books that I want to dump, there's a place I can go. Is it like a regular recycle place and there's a container for books, or is it at a where are these
It depends. So like the person I work with, they have all these like basically book bins that look like clothing bins. So like if you had like a bunch of books that you wanted to get rid of, like you might look up like book donation in your area wherever you live, and they'll be like, oh, we have bins over here, or they might say, hey, drop it off over there. Like a bunch of thrift stores will pop up. Just really depends on the area. But a lot of times, there was a big period of time, or I don't even really know what the issue was, but it was like stuff with China where booksellers used to be able to get, like you'd buy a Gaylord and before you even did anything, it was worth like $50 or $60 because like there was like a paper market or something where like the books were that valuable that just in the paper alone, but then like China stopped buying them or something. And then like there's a huge dip. So no one was taking books. So it forced everyone to go to thrift stores and like these bins and stuff like that.
That's
so cool, right?
I know, but you mentioned early on that you saw Gary Vee post a video. I think the same thing. I'm like, this guy is running like a massive agency.
Yeah.
He's like speaking everywhere. And yet you could tell his favorite thing is like driving around and filming himself go to thrift stores, and he's like freaking out over a coffee mug or anything.
It's the hunt, man. I don't know what it is. It's so like, it's like once you've done it and it's ingrained in, like you look at stuff differently. It's the treasure hunt. I think that's so much fun.
Yeah, I didn't think I would like OA for that reason. Like I do think I want to like eventually do wholesale after I could transition out books, but I just don't like OA is like you're constantly hunting all day and like you find something you're going to buy for like 20 and it's going to sell for 70. Like it's hard to replace that like high where you're like, wow, like I need to get this like tomorrow and send this in ASAP. And it's so hard to replace something like that.
That's all. Well, okay. Let's talk about OA. And I guess you could explain for anybody who doesn't know what all these mean. I mean, that's online arbitrage. And then essentially what you're doing right now is retail arbitrage with the books.
Yeah.
Getting them and then reselling them on their marketplace. But explain OA to everybody. And then let's dive into what you're getting involved in now. Because I love OA too.
Yeah. So online arbitrage, you're basically going to websites like Target, Walmart, I don't know, whatever discount websites you want to call. And basically you're looking for items that are less than they are on Amazon, depending on size and weight. Like you either want to be half the price or about a third of the price that's currently selling for on Amazon. And yeah, there's all sorts of ways to do it. I've found probably the best way is manual. So basically I'm going to the website, searching like clearance or something like that, and then basically typing it into Amazon to see if the sales price is higher. They have a program called Keepa, and basically it's like almost like a stock market chart. I mean, that's the only thing I could really compare it to. That shows you like what that product has done. Is it on a spike? Is this average? What it's done in like the last, I don't know, it goes back as long as like 4 or 5 years. It really depends on the product. And then basically you make an educated decision based on that. Yeah, and that's kind of how it goes. And yeah, it's been a big learning curve for me. As someone I don't know if you guys heard of him, but there's this guy that I've been listening a lot to, Alex Hormozy. He has a big YouTube channel. He's like the founder of Gym Launch, and basically he's a big proponent of like you don't know until you know. And basically his big claim to fame was in the gym industry, he'd run Facebook ads and fill the gym a month before it opened. So he'd be able to pay for all his equipment and all this other stuff. And he'd like go to conferences and they're like, you guys don't fill your gym before? They're like, no.
I know who you're talking about now.
And, like that became the thing to do. Like, oh, we could get all this money up front to like buy equipment and all this other stuff. And then we open the doors and it's already full.
I know who you're talking about now. This is the guy that wrote 100 Million Offers.
Yes. Great book.
He is all, and there's another podcast out there that I've been listening to called How I Made My First Million or something. It's a really good one. They interview him, and you're right. He's like, it's like so like in your face. Like, how did you not think of this? He talks about the gym. Yeah, I've heard that's a good book. 100 Million Offers.
Yeah, it's very good.
You probably have some in your Gaylord back there.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I feel like I never come across that kind of stuff. I feel like that's like the stuff like people save or whatever, or it has like tons of highlighting or writing or whatever.
Okay, so OA, you said that's a process like that. It's taking the time, go to these sites, find a product, and you may only get like $5 out of the deal, right? It took you an hour to find the product. Well, how many products can you go through? Like when you source like a couple hours, what's that number of products that you're finding?
I found it's like very hit or miss for me right now, since I've only been doing it maybe seriously like 3 or 4 months at this point. And yeah, it just takes a long time. Now that I start to have like some replenishables, which means you have an item that you could consistently buy and it continues to be profitable, it's a little easier to hit like a spend goal. But yeah, I feel like you just kind of get into it. Like when I first started, I did not know, I couldn't figure anything out, and I wasn't able to buy anything. And I also like within the Gaylords of books, like there come like CDs, DVDs, and stuff like that. So I was like, I understand like the Keepa charts for that kind of stuff and know a lot about that. And so I just started sourcing like media, DVDs, like, but they're new. And that's how I got started. And yeah, I just started with that. I was like, oh, this is a pretty profitable category. Not a lot of people sell in it. I know it better than other categories. And then from there, I kind of learned a little bit of tactile arbitrage. That's like a software that basically goes through Target and Walmart and kind of pulls things that they think will be profitable or at the time has a price difference that like meets a certain criteria. So I started doing that. And then the most profitable thing I found is actually going to other people's storefronts and seeing what they're selling and then trying to reverse engineer where they bought that. That is so good, but so frustrating too, because there's sometimes you're like, I don't know, like this person is probably broke, but because they're not making any money on this, but like they could be getting on clearance. There's all sorts of stuff they could be doing. But yeah, that's probably one of the most profitable things I've found. But that's going to take a lot of time.
Go ahead, Chris.
I have a feeling in a year from now, like we talked to, you're going to be doing a bunch of wholesaling. I mean, yeah. You've got the warehouse. You're already kind of doing the reverse engineering of what are these other brands selling or the sellers are selling. It just feels like the next step is wholesale.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with me with the books. I was basically doing like, I guess, RA, going to thrift stores and doing all this. I'm like, I don't like this. Like, I want the stuff to come to me. Like, I don't want to compete with the other sellers in the store. So like I found a source and like he delivers every week or whatever. And I kind of feel like the same way with OA. It's like, whoa, like, you know, I got to search. But like if I had like this huge catalog, and that's the most annoying part probably, like when you find profitable products, but you can't get them or there are limits on them. That is annoying. But if you had like a wholesaler, you'd have a better shot at being able to buy more.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go through that process a little bit more. So you find a product, let's say it's Target clearance or wherever you find it, the numbers work. You see that it's selling for double on Amazon. And you're like, okay, this is the product. So what are you doing? Are you then buying that from Target, shipping it to yourself?
Yeah. So I'm buying it. I just started working with a prep center. So I'm going to start shipping more stuff there. But yeah, so basically I'm buying whatever I feel comfortable with. I'm buying a lot more now, or when I first started, like $30, $40 items. So, you know, I'm trying to get at least 10. But recently, a lot of the stuff, so supposedly there's a magic number of 18. Anything over 18, Amazon will send to one warehouse. So I think I'm going to start test buying 18. But basically, I'd buy 10, send them, like get them to me. I use Inventory Labs, which is a software that kind of helps you list on Amazon much easier than listing on Amazon itself. Print labels out, put them on the whatever I bought, put them in a box and send them to Amazon. And then after that, I kind of see if they sell quickly. Yeah, maybe I'll reorder this. I have gotten caught when I first started. It's like, oh, 5 of these sold. And then I'm like, I'm going to buy 20. And then it's like more people come on the listing. Like 5 are still like an FC transfer. Like some of those orders are pending. So I kind of learned like, okay, like let it sell through and then kind of see what the listing looks like after that and then decide whether to reorder or not. But I'm starting to get like that feeling like this is a good one to like really go deep on or not go deep on.
And what kind of things does a prep center do?
So prep center is basically, they have a warehouse like this. And basically I send all my stuff there instead of me unboxing it, putting labels on it, listing it. They take care of all that. They'll charge like anywhere from $1 to $1.50, $2. Just really depends. And then they'll ship it to Amazon for you. And one of the reasons I did that, even though I have a warehouse, is I do have like 3 or 4 businesses going right now. So to take off some of the burden of more of the annoying stuff to prep, like there's some stuff I'm getting where you have to like take a label off of, then polybag it, like some of that other stuff. Like I'm happy to pay someone like $1 to do that because it's just less off my plate. So we'll see how that goes. But that's kind of where I'm at now with the prep center.
If that scales, that's how you can end up on the beach with your laptop and manage the whole
that passive income dream lifestyle business, no headaches, no nothing.
That's awesome. So right now you're spending your mornings and then all day Friday doing OA. You've got your books. Obviously, when your products show up to your warehouse, well, I guess you're using the prep center, but so I mean, it's a ton of fun. There's constant hustle now. So outside of like the main places, Target, Walmart, I mean, I'm sure there's a million. Are you going like way into the fringes to find products as well?
There's been a couple of stores where I've bought from and I would say, think of any like retailer like in your area. And some are regional, some aren't. I mean, there's like Macy's, there's Kohl's, there's BJ's, Sam's Club. Like there's so many different like discount stores, or some of the best stuff I've found actually has been like, if you type in like Lego sale into Google, like see what pops up. Like there'll be all these different stores. It is really funny, like doing a lot of this research, like just how crazy targeted you get from advertising, like everything I see on Instagram and like all this weird stuff. I'm just like, what happened to all the reselling content? Like, I don't want to see like Target ads and all this other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'd say like always test buy it. A good, I think, rule of thumb is like, look at their about page. Do they have a Facebook page? There's going to be one or two sites that are going to have reviews or people complaining or saying good things. So that's always good. It's always good to try it because there's a lot of stores that you just don't know. And then you start buying from them and you're like, oh, this is pretty good. Or you talk to someone much bigger and they're like, have you ever shopped there? I'm like, not yet, but I'm going to start.
You ever go to like the manager and say, give me the whole pallet. I'll buy everything you got here. Like,
not yet, but I feel like eventually, like I definitely would want to do something like that. And I definitely, I'm more like that. I like to almost source once, kind of like I want to like find something I could like replenish. And I had like a lot of people have told me like, oh, the more SKUs you have, the better opportunity you have. And I do agree with that, but I do think it's just easier to replan a lot of different things.
And so if that's your goal, then a lot of times like a clearance is not where you want to look.
Right.
You're wanting to look for that's their retail price. That's what they're selling it for. And it just happens to sell for a lot more on Amazon.
Yeah, and I would say a lot of what I have found, which has been very funny, is I have like a very good replan right now that's been on clearance for, I don't know, 2 months. So I think there's a lot of manipulation. You'll go to Macy's.com and they're like, this is 80% off. But like you'll look at the Keep It chart, it's like, no, this has been like the retail price on Amazon for like years. Like, so there's a lot of like, so if you see like 80% off, like don't get too excited until like you look at Amazon and really see. I will say one of the best things I've done is like the clearance. While I don't like a lot of the one-off stuff because it's kind of annoying, like you probably can't buy enough of it to make it almost worth it sometimes. But like finding a new brand. So like if it was like Nike's a bad example, but if it was like Nike t-shirt, like, well, what else does Nike sell? Like maybe this store has it. Maybe there's others. Like just type it into Amazon, start looking around, see like what Amazon's not on or whatever, and kind of go from there.
So when you're doing your research or when you're sourcing for new products for OA, what's the first thing you do in the morning? Are you going to like Target and just starting to look, or are you doing like your Google search where you're like, sale discount for Legos? How do you start?
So the first thing I do, actually, I have a Google Doc with things that are in and out of stock that are very sellable, like a no-brainer. Like if I buy like 10 or like I would do without even like rechecking Amazon. So I kind of click on all those links, buy all that stuff. like I like it too because it's almost like an instant win. It's like, all right, I just sourced some profitable product like in 5 minutes. Like this is good. And then it really depends. Sometimes I'll start like looking at other people's stores. Other times I do have like certain like links that I have set up of like Amazon searches. So like I like to filter down on Amazon or Walmart rather. You could filter out like sellers. So you could just look at stuff that Amazon or I don't know why I keep saying that. Only things that Walmart's selling, not third-party sellers, or things that are on rollback. So I kind of like to get that stuff out of the way first because I feel like a lot of other people are just doing tactical arbitrage and kind of like the easy stuff. But I'd like to just get the harder stuff out of the way first. Well, start easy with looking for that stuff that's out of stock, then kind of go through the websites manually. And then, yeah, usually it's just kind of go through seller stores and see what else they're selling.
On any given day, how many active SKUs do you have live for sale?
So for the OA account, it's probably 80 to 100. It's very small right now. The book account, there's probably like 3,000 or 4,000. There's probably, I don't know, 600-700 things on eBay right now. So it's pretty spread out. But yeah, for hopefully I'll definitely start picking up with the OA. But I've been, I don't know, I guess lucky. I have found a lot of replenishable stuff. So I tend to, like, if I know it's selling, like, I'll buy that stuff until it's not anymore.
And do you do any of the OA FBM instead of FBA if the numbers don't work out?
I have, yeah. I'll do it if it's light. Shipping is tough. Like for like a big Lego set to ship, like you're gonna. One of the sets I bought, it was so sad. I got it for $129. It was selling for $250. I merchant fulfill it. It cost me like, I don't know, $25 to ship. And the person returns it and said they found a lower price. So it's like another $25 to ship it back to me. So I'm like, I'm not doing that again. But yeah, for like light stuff, it's really great. I have found though, like people just like Prime. Like it doesn't matter. Like, even if you're like a lower price, like they want it in 2 days, or they don't trust like the third party seller or whatever, even though they really are getting it from a third party seller. But I guess they just view it differently.
They definitely view it different. And they're definitely looking for Prime. Yeah, they trust that shipping. They know it's coming in 2 days. They assume it's coming from Amazon.
That's one of the most confusing parts about like probably 2-3 years ago, like when you had even just for books, like if you were FBA, like you won the buy box. Like there is no question. Like you could have like such a ridiculous price, like $1,000 or something, and someone has it like $5 merch fulfilled, like they're giving it to you. Well, now today, like it's totally different. Like there's a lot of stuff where like merch fulfilled sellers are winning the buy box, which makes it harder to source because I've done like I do have SKUs that are MF and FBA at the same price, and FBA outsells them. So it's just a very weird, like, I do think like everyone has a different screen when you're looking at Amazon. So it's not all like cut and dry. So you just got to trust the Keepa and like just kind of go from there. And I like to build in a lot of padding where it's like if the price drops like 10 to 20%, like I'm either making $1 or $2 or breaking even.
So that brings up the question I was going to ask. What are the numbers you're looking for? So if you, because obviously if you sell FBA, I mean, there's going to be a large FBA fee attached to that. You know, it can be high, you know, 15, 20, 30. I mean, it can be a lot. If you tack in everything, it can be a big fee. So what are you looking at when you're sourcing? What does the margin have to be? How big does that price differential have to be before you say, oh, this is a winner?
So for me, I like to look at things for ROI, like about 30, 35%. I have to be able to sell at least like 10 to 20 within the month. I would say a lot of the things that I think I could sell like 10 or 20 of, I end up selling much, much more. So, I mean, it's just like, you really just have to buy it and test it to see like how fast it's going to move. I thought I would I buy some stuff that would move like instantly that sits there. So it's really about like testing it. But I do go, so it's 30 to 35%. I want to be making at least $3. And then it just depends on the category, what it is. I'm more willing to go deeper on Nike because I know people, not everyone's ungated. Not everyone's going to want to do that. I view that as a little more safer. Things like Legos is just a really good brand. Like it's going to be real hard to lose on a Lego set, if not break even. But yeah, I'm really just looking for that. I will go a little lower if I know like it's going to sell out real quick, or I'll know I'll be able to really restock these quickly and just keep moving them. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, about 30, 35%, at least $3 profit. And then, yeah, hopefully a lot of the stuff I am sourcing is like much higher than that though. But that's kind of like bare minimum for me.
And do you use a repricer or anything?
I do. I use Be Cool. And
Sure.
I definitely like that. It's definitely interesting to see. And it's almost like you have to have a repricer. Like there's stuff that I'll sell. Let's say if I sell, I don't know, 5 of this Sharpie or whatever, it's going to be priced like 3 or 4 different things probably in that day, which is kind of crazy. And it's like, well, if you're missing those ups or downs, like it's probably not good. Like you really can't. I feel like anything over like 20 or 30 SKUs, like you really need something else that's watching it.
Yeah. It keeps you in the buy box.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh. My head spinning, Chris, again.
So what's next, John? What are you doing? I mean, you talked about wholesale. What do you think you're going to do next?
So I think I have to really fully, which is going to be hard, kind of transition out of books. I think that's kind of like my next step. Just for the time aspect, like to go through the books, right? Like if, I don't know, it really is hard to say how much each Gaylord is worth to go through because each batch is different. But for argument's sake, like if it takes like 12 hours to go through 12 Gaylords, it's probably like more like closer to 15 hours with like the little stuff in between. I could definitely source much more profit in 15 hours doing OA or even wholesale possibly. I mean, I've never done wholesale. So I kind of look at it like that. I don't need as big of a space. Books is one of those things where there's just a lot of intricacies. Like it's not cut or dry. Like this is black, this is white. Like this goes in a poly bag. It's just a lot of different situational stuff. But yeah, I do think wholesale, maybe OA, and then wholesale, and then kind of see how it goes from there. See how I like working with the prep center. I'm not 100% sold on it, even though a lot of people like the idea. I kind of like, I don't know. I guess if it's all going to a prep center, it's different right now. I'm kind of testing the waters, and it's like, well, like I have to check like if it's getting there. Like it's kind of annoying. Like it's either at my warehouse or it's not, and I know. But now it's like, well, is it there? Like, when are they going to get it out? Like, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I could definitely see keeping this warehouse and doing wholesale, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you could hire an employee and make that your prep center.
Oh yeah. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like very funny. Like I feel like a lot of, you know, whether we're talking like before or after this or even on the call, like that's where you learn everything. Like I have a YouTube channel and like, yeah, like I try to be as helpful as possible, but let's just say I know a lot of other sellers who have like YouTube channels, and like the conversation we have versus what's on the channel is very, very different.
I'm sure it is.
What's going on and like what they're really selling. Like not to say that everyone's like, but it's just very different. Like, yes, a lot of the stuff is meant to be basic knowledge for you to take and like apply it yourself or do whatever. But when you're really talking to like bigger sellers who are doing a lot, it's a very, very different conversation.
So if somebody wanted to get into this, let's say we got somebody listening that's just kind of like intrigued by the whole online arbitrage or even book selling, where do you start? I'm sure you just go to a thrift store and start scanning.
Yeah, so you can go to a thrift store. I would say, so if I had to do this all over again, I'd probably start with eBay, actually. So I would go through my house and look at stuff that like I no longer use, and just see if it's worth anything on eBay and start listing it. I think the one caveat to Amazon, everyone says, "Oh, like you get started for free." Like you could, but like I think a lot of people quit because it's not easy without software. I mean, you guys make software, like the reason you guys make software is because there's like lots of holes in Amazon, right? So like it's much easier to like if you have something to do. So eBay is super simple, like you're just taking pictures. And I think a lot of it too is like, do you even like this? Like before you buy a scanner, before you sign up for like just see if you like it. Like if you get hooked or do Facebook Marketplace, then yeah, like it's probably good for you. If you're like, oh, I don't want to meet people, like this is annoying, like then move on to the next thing. So yeah, I'd start like with that. Like take like $100, like see if you could either find something on marketplaces like locally and flip it, or just go around your house and like look for stuff that like you don't use anymore and see if it's selling on eBay. Or even if it's not, just post it for like $10 or $15 if it makes sense and like see what happens. And then go from there. If you like it, then yeah, look into other avenues. But yeah, I really do think eBay and locally is like very slept on, but it's a great way to generate cash and not to have to like. I feel like too a lot of people don't realize. I mean, you guys probably know you guys are in private label, right? Like when you're maybe working on like 3, 4, 5 months before like you're getting your money back or even starting to get your money back, just depending on the process. So Facebook Marketplace, like you list this, someone shows up tomorrow, like you have your cash back. From Amazon, like a lot of people, I get a lot of DMs like, oh, like my account balance is negative. It's like, yeah, like you got to be like 3, 4, 5 months into it before like it really starts to like you start to see like positive payouts, and it's just like a process. So yeah, I like this idea of starting locally, building up some cash, and then if you really like it, start looking into Amazon.
The $10 you started with, have you really rolled that up over and over again, or have you reinvested other money to get to where you are?
That's a hard question because I did the $10 and the idea was just to double it. I probably put like $100 in initially, and I've always been somewhat decent with money. So everything went back into the business because I had a job that I was working. I was a copywriter full time. So everything went back into the business. I never had to take anything out for living expenses or anything. And I just kept building up cash. So like when I did want to quit, I had like 6 to 8 months. If I didn't make any money doing anything, I would have been fine. So yeah, I'd probably say like 10 to $100 rolled this into what it is today. Which is crazy now that you bring that up to like actually think about that.
You got a warehouse, Gaylords all over the place.
Yeah, and it's like very hard. I think that's probably one of the struggles. You know, you watch YouTube and Instagram and you see no matter where you are, like you're not where someone else is. And it's hard, and that's almost one of the reasons why I did YouTube and Instagram to like look back and be like, oh man, like, you know, there are days that like I'm like, oh, it's so hard. Like, why am I doing this? And it's like you would have killed to spend $2,000 like 2, 3 months ago. Like you would have been so happy, like if you could do that, or like you would have been so happy if you're doing $1,000 in sales today. But like the game changes and it keeps changing. But yeah, it's just important to like kind of play your own game, and like a lot of people say like just compete against yourself, because again, like you never really know what anyone else is doing, how much they're making, what profit margins they're happy with. It's just very up to you.
Yeah. You mean your YouTube channel doesn't have you hanging out of a Lamborghini outside of your beach house mansion?
I can't find any to rent in Pennsylvania. It's tough.
I can't find any to rent.
That's funny. Well, if people want to see some of the content you've put out, where can they find it?
You can just type in YouTube Side Hustle Experiment, or find me on Instagram at Side Hustle Experiment. Try to post content, answer everyone's questions daily. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun to do that. And yeah, I'm always happy to help and answer questions. And I know a ton of people have helped me. to get
Well, that's
here.
awesome. Everyone definitely should check out your content. I'll be subscribing to your channel here right after this for sure. Love it. Love side hustle tips. It's so fun. But John, thanks so much, man, for joining us and telling us your story. Thanks
for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, we love yeah, once you get the next going into wholesale or whatever avenue you go into, let us know. We'll get you back on. We'll continue.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really exciting. Like, it's frustrating to like obviously switch into a different model, and because you're kind of relearning everything again, but you're just building on it. And yeah, it is exciting to watch, like to go from thrift store. Oh, it's so easy because you know where to go. Then to like have to find a source and like the pain points of that. But like once you get up and running, it gets easier. So hang in there if you're at that point.
That first flip though is exciting. So whoever's out there listening, there's nothing
about it. You're not excited by the first flip. Like, this is not for you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Well, thanks again, everyone. You can check them out at Side Hustle Experiment. Is that your Instagram or YouTube? Yes. YouTube Side Hustle Experiment. You've also got sidehustleexperiment.com. People can go to.
Yes.
Check that out. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate it. A lot of fun. Everyone listening, go out there and flip something right now.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome.
Double your money. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you like content like this, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. We're on every podcast platform out there. You can also see all of our live streams on Solozo's social channels. So Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you can see all these live streams. So make sure you subscribe and follow there as well. Also, if you're currently selling on Amazon, whether you're private label, wholesale, however you're selling on Amazon, if you're needing help with your advertising, Solozo can help automate and optimize your advertising campaigns for you. You can go to solozo.com. You book a demo. Chris and I will chat with you. We'll show you the power of Solozo's platform and answer any questions you have about selling on Amazon. We love talking to sellers, so make sure you go there and book that demo today. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. John, thanks for joining us. We'll see you.